Once we're done with that, then we'll get to move into like scales and key signatures so we can understand where we fall on the piano when we're looking at a piece of music. And then from there, we can actually assign solfege syllables and kind of start to read music, which is kind of the cool thing. So today we have to talk about a little bit about intervals. So we're going to start with just a simple review. So just a reminder, a half step is the smallest interval we have in Western music. Can you guys see that fine? You guys? Okay, cool. It's a little harder when we have the bar, but so half steps are smallest interval in Western music. It's a distance from one piano key to another. So if you can look on the image up here, it's either from a white key to a black key to a white key, or a white key to a white key, which only happens 2 times in our piano scale, which is E to F and B to C. So there is no, in the sense of another piano key or another note, there is no E sharp or F flat. An E sharp would be the same as an F natural. F flat would be the same as an E natural. There's no key in between. Does that make sense? So there's no sound in between. It's just E and F. So just a reminder of that. So when we're looking at intervals and trying to measure the distance between the two, there's 2 ways we do that. The first is we talk about generic intervals, which has nothing to do with pitch. So when we talk about a first, a second, a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, if we just use that classification, it has nothing. We don't know what sound it makes. All it's telling us is where it's actually written in terms of staff position. So for instance, I had it up here. I apologize. It must have gotten away from me. If I go to musictheory.net and I go to, not key signature, to interval identification, if I'm just talking about seconds, I'm just talking about their staff position. So this flat has nothing to do with it. I have a C and I have a D, which means they're a second away from each other because they're a letter apart. Right? If there were 2 C's that were written or 2 D's that were written, it'd be a first because they're the same letter, they're in the same position. If it's 1 letter apart, either direction, it's a second, right? So if it's a B and a C, it's a second. If it's a D and an E, it's a second, et cetera, et cetera. So Caitlin, for instance, Murph, I haven't told you Caitlin in a long time. If I have a D and I have an F, right? What type of generic interval would we call that? A D as in dog and an F as in Frank. Well, D would be this 4th line, and F would be this line here. So it would be here and here. If we're talking about like first, seconds, thirds, fourths, a third, right? Because we have D, E, F, we're on that 3rd letter, it would be a third. Exactly. So you get the idea. So the first thing we want to talk about is the generic interval, right? We want to know, as far as the staff is concerned, where is it spaced out? The second thing, and the thing that we're going to talk more about today, is the specific interval. So it's what quality it has, right? What sound is it making? And this is the more important for us as singers because it gives us an idea of what we're supposed to say. So specific intervals deal with the quality of the interval. When using the word quality, we're talking about the distance between the 2 pitches. Pitches spacing different intervals create different sounds. So it's the difference between this and right. We use specific intervals to give a name or a quality to that pitch. When talking about the quality of an interval, so a specific interval, we use 5 descriptors. 3 of them we use in 90% of our music, which is major, minor, and perfect. When we're talking about our solfege scale, do to do, most of the intervals that we see are specific intervals that are major, minor, and perfect. We rarely use augmented and diminished, but when you're in higher level music like we do, higher level high school choral music, sometimes we do have that happen. So it's just important to be aware of it. Today we're only going to be talking about minor and major seconds. So the only intervals you're going to see are a second away. So there's going to be 1 letter to another letter. So a minor second is the distance of 1 half step. So this would be just saying it's a half step interval, right? It has to be written as a second. So for instance, a C to C sharp is 1 half step away. So that's C to C sharp. C to D flat is also a half step away. They have the same exact sound, A reminder that when we have two ways we could spell one note, it's called enharmonic. It happens during all of our black keys in the piano. But the reason that we wouldn't call C to C sharp a minor second is because it's a first. The reason it's a first is because it's the same letter, right? So it has to be, if it's a second, it has to be a letter apart. So it has to be C to D. So that's why C to D flat would be a minor second. C to C sharp is not a minor second. So, and musically, we think of the Jaws theme. So that's our minor second. Our major second is the distance of 2 half steps. So it's twice as big. It must also be written as a second, but it has to be a major second. So it specifically has to be 2 half steps in distance. So, for instance, we have the example of E to F. So I'll go back to that piano really quick here so you can see it. We have E to F. E to F is technically a second because it's one letter to another. But when you listen, it kind of sounds like that Jaws theme. And the reason is it's only a half step apart, so it's actually a minor second. So in order to make it a major second, we need to raise it because we need to make the distance longer between the 2 notes. So what we do is we turn that F into an F sharp, and suddenly we have 2 half steps. And we get a major second, right? So that's where our accidentals come into play, is they change the values of the note so we can get the correct interval we're looking for. So E to F sharp is a major second, whereas E to F is a minor second. And for major seconds, we use the Sports Center theme. So that's kind of how we decide how things are. So just a test to kind of check our understanding. I'm going to use people in the virtual side too of things, but really quickly, this is basically what your Edpuzzle is going to be, but we'll do a couple in class as soon as I can get it to load. My computer's frozen. It's not responding. This is good. I'm just going to wait. There we go. Okay. Lillian. It's like the... Okay. So, what 2 notes do we have here? One of them is D. What are the spaces are F, A, C, and E. No worries, no worries. You were doing bass clef, weren't you? Yeah, okay, cool. So our first note is a C, and our second note is a what? A D. Cool. So, we have the note C, we have the note D. In between that, we have C sharp and D flat, right? So between C and D, there's 2 notes. But there's 2 steps, I should say. We're dealing with C to D flat. So these notes are how many half steps away from each other? C to D flat. 1. They're 1 half step away. So would it be a minor second or a major second? It'd be a minor second, exactly. Beautiful. It sounds really beautiful too. Okay. Normal. What 2 notes? No worries, no pressure, no sweat, right? We're gonna either you're gonna know this or we're gonna figure it out together. We have 2 notes, right? We have an E, we have an F. Okay? If you didn't know that, now you do. Is there a note between E and F? Is there a black key, if you can think about the piano? Is there a black key between E and F? No, there's not. And that sounded like the no, because if it's no, then it has to be yes, right? There's not, right? E to F, B to C, there's no note in between. Okay? So, how far away is E to F? How far away are they from each other? How many half steps? 1. So would it be a minor second or a major second? What was that? How many half steps is a major second? Okay, cool. That's all right. A minor second is 1 half step apart. It's the smallest interval we have. In Western music, I should say. A major second is 2 half steps. Okay? So it's twice as big. So if we're 1 half step away from each other, then we're which interval? Minor. Yes, you're correct. Another lovely sound. Okay. Let's see, who should I pick on here? Lily, can you unmute your mic quick? Lily Charney. Speak.
Hi.
Cool. Can you see this next example?
Yes.
Okay, cool. What two notes am I dealing with here?
You are dealing with D and E.
D and E is correct. How many half steps are those away from each other?
1, 2, actually. I lied. So the black key would be done.
Okay, so there is a black key. And that black key would be what note name or two note names?
D sharp, E flat.
D sharp or E flat. And it all depends on which direction we're going, right? If we're writing and we have an E and we want to make it smaller, right? We want to make this smaller, we'd flatten it, right? Or we could take the D and we could sharp it to make that distance smaller. We're either moving one of the notes to make it closer together, or moving it down or up. So there's two half steps in between. I agree. What interval would that be?
What? Oh, it's a second.
Which type of second?
Oh, is it a minor?
It is not a minor second, because a minor second is one half step apart. So it is a major second. You are correct. Sounds a little bit better. Not as great. Bree Geisen, unmute your mic. Dun, dun, dun. We're waiting. I see you there.
It's like really loud at my house right now.
That's okay. It's okay. What is Chris just like drumming away or something?
No, they're fixing my roof, so.
Okay, cool. We'll get some background noise. What two notes am I dealing with here?
F.
Yep.
G.
Yep. F and G what?
Flat.
G flat. I agree. Cool. How many half steps is that interval? How many half steps are they away from each other?
1.
One. Perfect. Because we have a G natural and we have a G flat, right? We have a normal G and then we have G flat. So which interval would that be?
I don't know.
Someone help her. Alyssa's like, what if you don't know? Kylie, yeah. It'd be a minor second. And the reason is a minor second is one half step away. Okay? I'm sensing, so good job, Bree. I'm sensing, yes, it never sounds good. So I'm sensing that this is where we maybe have some confusion we need to reteach. So here's the main thing I want you to remember. Minor second, one half step. Okay? Minor is one half step. Major is two half steps. Yes, in every single, so this is, you're not going to remember this because it's next level, but with seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths, right? Second, third, sixth, seventh, all of them have a major and all of them have a minor. And the major is always one half step bigger than the minor. The major interval is always one half step bigger than the minor. Okay? That's fine. You're going to get it. There's an Ed puzzle where it's going to review it again. You're going to get a chance to try it. And I'm okay that you're a little bit like zoned out right now because you're going to get it. You're going to get it. I'm not worried. Okay? So here's your assignment. Ed puzzle. In Chamber Choir, let me just double check that it says it's available to grade because that always seems to be an issue. Edit. Grading is enabled. So, virtual people, you are going to complete the Ed puzzle for today. That's your assignment. So if you guys have any issues, I wanted to start small. There's about like 24 different intervals. There's a lot of intervals in music. We're just going to start with 2, right? Just baby intervals, okay? The Ed puzzle reviews a little bit about what I just talked about, and then it gives you the opportunity to work and to answer some questions. Yet again, no sweat. Do your best, and we'll kind of work through. I'm sensing that the people in class also need some help as well, so they'll get that attempt. And then, are there any questions? Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Any questions? Anybody? Okay. Have a great day. Bye.